welcome back everyone to Master of the Universe Horror Podcast, and we're bringing you Friday the 13th 7, The New Blood, released in 1988, was on a budget of $2.8 million, made about $19.1. And guess who won the pony, man? Christopher J. and Mark's back with us, man. He said, you know what, that someone was being disingenuous on these Friday the 13th podcasts, and he was like, I'm not going to stand for that, dude. Is that about right, Mark? Is that the reason why you're going through this hell, dude? Your own Jason, purgatory, dude, of watching at least some partial reviews on these films, dude, just so you can get at Chris and see how phony he's being?
No, well, here's the thing, dude. It was like when y'all were doing the Nightmare on Elm Street, dude, and I was like, what the hell is he talking about? About characters and all this other bullshit and flowing and all that, transitioning. I never said transitioning.
Yeah,
I didn't.
When you said that, and then I listened to a few minutes of some of these other was it Friday the 13th? I'm like, oh no, dude. Oh no, I'm not gonna let him get away with this, dude. There's no way. He can try to be a phony in on the chat, dude, between the little group, but once he starts getting out in a public forum, dude, trying to be phony, dude, that's when I gotta contain him, dude. He's like the fake Chinese virus, dude. I gotta try to, keep him from spreading that to everybody else, dude. So I'm not gonna allow that, Chris. I'm letting you know right now, dude. I'm letting you know right now, you're not getting away with this.
Look at him making all this noise.
No, I'm saying, like, are y'all, Mark, I know you heard that because you're, like, not far from me.
Oh, it's your thunder. It's thunder, huh?
Yeah, it shook the fucking, I felt it, like, move. Like,
man, I thought Jason was coming after you, dude.
Yeah,
I thought it was rain. I thought it was rain crashing through the window, Chris.
Well, what's up, kid? Can you imagine Ray in a Friday the 13th Jason mask, dude? Like, all walking fucked up and shit, size 5s.
The mechanic's outfit, dude.
It's a Terminex outfit, dude. So, bro. And he's like killing you with fucking like Terminex gimmicks, dude. Like the fucking
chemicals.
The chemicals of
the. You're like, dude. I mean, I drink Diet Mountain Dew every day for years. I mean, I'm already immune to all this crap. So not too sure what you're trying to get at.
Man, you can hear.
Why are you freaking out about lightning?
No, did you see that one bolt right now? It was like fucking bright as the sun.
It's funny because I heard as bright as the sun, dude. I don't know about all that, but I heard the thunder, and then about 2 or 3 seconds later, I heard it on my side, dude. So, Chris, you're probably gonna hear something. But yeah, that was pretty over. Anyway, so Friday the 13th, 7, The New Blood, dude. Before our power gets cut off, Chris is going to play that game soon. I guarantee it. So before we get into it, Chris, what did you think about this film, dude? Because for me, I love it. I love it.
Yes, and yes. Loved this fucking movie. This is what a fucking Friday the 13th Jason movie should be. The question, no, like, I've got really almost no criticism of, for real. Like, this is fantastic. And one of probably the icing on the cake, it's not really that huge of a deal, but I looked it up. Debuted in theaters in the U.S. on May 13th, 1988, which was a Friday.
Oh, okay, yeah. Man, do you have your fucking window open out there or what? The patio?
No, it's just it's that fucking loud.
That's over, though, dude. That's going to be podcast material. People are going to think we're, like, adding that shit in. So Mark, did you see this when it came out? Did you remember it? Watch it, getting the refresher, dude. That old Christopher J. refresher. What's your thoughts on this overall before we get into some scenes and shit?
Actually, I'm like making that. I got my nose up in the air like a crazy. Actually, they took us to the drive-in theater to watch this, Joe. And there's a scene in the movie that reminds you of being at the drive-in theater that me and my brother were just giggling about hysterically while we were at. So I'll let you know when we get there.
you and Alex giggling like school kids. Well, y'all were school kids, but
we all are school kids, but it's no excuse. So it starts off with a recap with Crazy. I don't think it's the real actor that played Crazy Ralph, but it's supposed to be Crazy Ralph because he don't sound like the same, but it's supposed to be. And they're kind of going over the whole Friday the 13th story, and like I'm enjoying it. They're like, it's all like, they say some bullshit like, and then Jason, dies. Long live Jason or whatever the fuck.
Here, I got it. I got it here.
Here we go.
Hear it?
Yeah, I guess so, Chris. Go ahead.
Okay.
There's a legend around here.
And how is that?
Should have buried, but not dead.
What the hell are you doing?
What the? Why are you interrupting it?
I don't know what the hell it is.
Don't worry,
Okay.
I'll edit this, Chris, and I'll just put the real one. I'll put the real thing on there.
There, I just sent it to you private message there because Mark can't shut up for 30 seconds.
What the fuck is what was he playing, or what was that noise?
Yeah, on the Friday the 13th 7, the intro, like the way the movie starts off, it's like a flashback, and it's Crazy Ralph, from part 1 and 2. He's like narrating about Jason, and it's like there's something here that isn't dead. Like he says, like this little. It's a cool ass intro. It's completely different.
Okay,
That actually
I know
was
the part that you're
warning.
talking about. I know the part that you're talking about. But why would Chris be playing it in the background so that we can hear it?
Because I want it to be on the podcast in some way, shape, or form. Okay, but you have to be Mr. Cool. You can't stay keep your mouth shut 5 seconds.
You can't fucking hear it. You could barely hear what the fuck is going on.
Hey, Mark, can you see that? My eyes are rolling while you're saying that. So.
I thought you turned on your garbage disposal. What the fuck? How the fuck am I supposed to know what that is?
Anyway, Joe can do a more professional job with actually putting it in the real podcast when he edits, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But
So why would you put it in the background?
okay. Anyway. So.
There's a legend around here.
Look at me, Joe. I'm cute, ready to go.
Yeah, dude. Fucking hilarious, dude. But
That is good. That is a good narration to start the movie, though.
yeah, it's like a killer
He's
that's.
gonna get away.
Yeah, it's a killer that's buried but isn't dead or some shit like that. Curse on Crystal Lake, a death curse, Jason Voorhees curse. They say
You have seen him and lived to tell you.
yeah, they say he's died as a boy, but he keeps coming back. Yeah, if you have seen him and lived, some have even tried to stop him. No one can, and that's like a badass thing, And this is the Friday the 13th debut of the guy Kane Hodder. I'm pretty sure. Even people that don't know any of the actors' names for the other films, they've at least maybe heard of Kane Hodder because he played Jason in 4 of the films. And let's just get right into this one, dude, before Chris starts slithering away, dude. So it starts off like a good old Friday the 13th film should, with some domestic abuse. Yeah. So the fucking film starts off with Tina, who's our main girl. Her parents are like getting into it or whatever, and you just hear you just hear her running out of there like, you hate mommy again, and all this and that. And basically she just has the doc fall on her dad and kills his ass. So that's it. I was laughing at the face she was making. She was doing like the Chris face, like when she was mad. Did y'all see that shit?
No, I did. To give more of a visual, so she basically runs out of the house, runs down the dock, gets in a boat, and her dad runs after her, and he gets on like the dock. And he tells her to come back. Hey, everything's fine.
Everything's great.
No big deal, And then she's all, "No, I hate you, Daddy. I wish you were dead." And just in that moment of anger, like we're gonna later find out some things about Tina. I won't spoil it here, but then the dock collapses below him and he drowns.
Well, I mean, we can kind of know she's got powers because I don't think that thing just all of a sudden started shaking back and forth because she was giving it that Chris stare, dude.
So she wishes her dad was dead. Huh? She wishes somebody was dead, and she's making an angry face. And she has like evil powers. Dude. You know anybody like that?
Dude,
Nope.
I've never ever thought of it that way, but this one should be called Friday the 13th 7. The Chris one, dude.
The monkey paw.
The monkey paw. The sweaty blood, dude. Don't that one. So fast forward 10 years later, and it's we see Tina with her mom, and they're going back to Camp Crystal Lake, where all that shit happened. But I don't know if they call it something different now because they change it every few movies, and they're trying to do that workaround.
I didn't catch where they were sticking with the forest green bullshit.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention. But anyway, so they're there and they pull up and they're at the cabin, dude. Who's at the cabin, dude? But Bernie. I mean, Dr. Cruz, dude. Bad news Cruz, dude. But I'll probably call him Bernie the whole film. So Mark.
I like that Bad News Cruz.
Mark, Bernie, question mark?
I like to refer to her as Mr. Lomax, dude. You got some fucking respect, dude. Not just Bernie.
Mr. Lomax. Yeah, some fucking respect. Talk about some bitch that gets a podcast over, Chris. Why don't you bring shit like that here, dude? But anyway, he comes on here, and I was like, where have I seen him before, dude? Like right away, I'm like, I know this guy. We had just watched Weekend at Bernie's, but that this is that motherfucker gets it over, dude. Like how much? Like I've noticed these films. Like of course you have Jason, right? But when you throw in a heel like that, dude, it just gets it even more over, dude. It's like ridiculous. It's ridiculously over when you throw Mr. Lomax in. But he knows about her telekinesis and shit, right? They kind of, no one else knows about it but him, I guess. And we meet all the teens there. There's like a little cabin right next door to it, and we meet, and they're like having a party for the main guy. I call him Nick's cousin Michael. There's a lot of Michaels in these fucking movies. Think they're just trying to throw jabs at me. That's what I think. But we meet Melissa, who's the blonde girl, dude, sexy ass bitch. We meet David, who's the stoner. Eddie, who's the guy that's like our geek, science fiction writer, whatever. And we get Robin, who's like the whore, dude, the hood rat whore. And then what's the geek chick? What's her name? Maddie, dude. And then the black couple. I just put the black couple, dude. Kate.
The black couple is Ben and Kate. Yeah.
So we meet all those fuckers there, dude. Go ahead, dude.
Remember the first two films? They had a fat guy. What happened to the fat guy in the film, dude?
He always died, dude. Oh yeah, the part 5 was the fat one, dude, with the candy bar, dude. Go figure, right? Anyway,
what about the first few had a fat guy, didn't
Part 3 had Shelly.
Yeah, Shelly was part 3, yeah. But not part 4.
How come there's no fat guy in this one?
They were trying to cut down on the catering budget, dude.
Yeah. And don't forget this party for Nick's cousin Mike is happening at the house of Russell's uncle. So and of course Russell's being all tight about everything. He's like, oh my god, you guys are supposed to bring your own food. You're drinking his drinks.
Yeah. So Michael and his girlfriend, they're in the woods or something. They get lost or whatever. And she all bitch mode, dude. She's like, okay, well, we were supposed to have a surprise party for you, whatever, and no surprise. He has to go take a piss, dude, just like the way we just did it between that edit. And her name's like Jane, is that right?
Yeah, it is Jane.
And she gets oh shit.
Oh fuck.
It's still recording. The power went on the TV. It's still recording. It's funny because it took out the TV, but it didn't take out the computer. So anyway, all right. So we're great. Everything's fine, dude. Everything's fine. Because I
heard that.
The whole power went off, but everything stayed on, dude. But the TV. Anyway, so that's some good shit. But yeah, they get lost in the woods or whatever, and then Jane gives her the old spike to the head, or Jason gives Jane the spike to the head, and then he comes back from taking a piss, and Jason pulls out the spike and throws it. And I'm skipping around here because after all that crap, after we meet everyone, Tina has a breakdown with with Mr. Lomax, Mr. Lomax, dude.
Lomax, Eddie.
And she goes to the fucking goes to the lake to cry again because she's trying to bring her dad back to life, but she of course inadvertently brings Jason back to life, and he comes out the lake and he looks completely, to me at least, completely different than he did from the other Friday the 13th films, dude. He's got the spine showing on this one. His mask is all fucked up and shit. So he looks like a badass. I don't know about you guys, but did y'all like the way Jason looked on this film?
I did.
Okay, great.
Well, no,
That's it, Chris. That's it, Chris. That's all you're giving.
I am going to elaborate on it, but I didn't want to dominate and not let anyone else.
What do you mean? I don't want to dominate. I'm not.
I wanted to
Talk louder and slower, Chris.
I wanted to give everyone else a chance to say, if you're going to give me the chance to say, okay, great, then I'm going to go ahead and take that chance. Okay, so I liked him. I thought he looked badass. I thought. Hello?
I'm here, Chris. Chris trying to disconnect the shit.
No, I'm trying. Like, I thought I heard someone like laughing or something. Okay. No, okay.
Who would be laughing at you, Chris?
Can I talk?
I don't know. Can you?
I don't know. Is your brain functioning?
Can I talk? Can I pull out my penis? Yeah, tell me. I mean, yeah, go ahead, dude. I want to hear about Jason, dude.
I like this Jason. I thought, I thought the look and I thought the movements and everything was about dead on perfect. What I do think, though, I thought the part 4 Jason was the best as far as like size, build, everything like that. I like a larger, taller, like it just gives a more menacing to him.
What about ass? What about ass, dude?
Yeah.
I want to know what you think about the ass, dude.
I mean, and this guy wasn't small, but it's like the part 4 Jason was that Ted White or what was?
I think it was Ted White for 4, yeah.
Yeah, and that I thought was the best as far as just purely the visual because of height. But this guy was great. I mean, the whole performance was there.
So, Mark, I know you're familiar with the way Jason looks from because he came out in part 2 with the sack, part 3, 4, 5. Well, 5 is not really it's Jason, but it's a working Jason. But do any of the Jasons stand out to you, or they all kind of just blend in together? And is this one like making any difference to you as far as from the previous one to this one, dude?
I mean, a mask, a potato sack, whatever the fuck it is, dude. I mean, it makes no difference to me, dude, at all. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. It's a fucking dude. It's a tall dude in a fucking mask, dude. I mean, what's the difference? This one, like you said, is fine showing. It's a little bit more graphic or whatever, but it just seems more cheesy, dude, to me, dude. It's what's that fucking movie? It's right on the tip of my tongue. It seems like a little more John Carpenter fucking Jason, dude. With the spine and all that shit coming out, dude. Like if Jason showed up in Little China, dude. That's what it seems like, dude. So it's all crap. But I'm not gonna sit there. I thought the movement was fantastic. I mean, this Jason transformed himself into the on-screen performance that we figured that he could give us. I'm not gonna do that.
You're not gonna sell for Jason. Yeah, I love this Jay. I love the way he looks. I don't think he is as bad at. My favorite Jason is the Jason from part 3. I think it's Richard Booker that plays that Jason. Like I like the way he runs after people, dude. Like he looks fucked up. So anyway. We got our second and third deaths, and then Tina meets the group because her and Nick somehow they start talking, being cool, dude, and she meets everyone, and of course we get all the tropes at that point, the geek, like I said earlier, and she right away, because one of the guys, like he's chugging a beer, he pops one open, and then she sees like Jason like killing him, so she like
that was rough.
Yeah, so she's not even like. I can't even talk right now. Say it, Chris.
She's not having a spell of telekinesis or telekinetically doing anything to anybody.
She's clairvoyant too. She's clairvoyant too now.
Yes, exact. Thank you for saying that. That's what I was looking for, clairvoyant, because she'll have imagery, visions like that in her head where she's seeing something happen to someone and it didn't necessarily happen, but she just has that vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has that. She has the vision. She has the gift of the second sight. All that bullshit. So yeah, she starts seeing that. She sees that a few times during the film. But then we get one of our buddies here. Dan gets punched to the back, getting firewood. He's just thrown at him. That's one of those people that are just thrown in the film. It's him and his girlfriend Judy. That's what it is. So they're like there, and she's like a pretty fine chick, and he's just there. She's like, it's gonna be a cold night, playing that Nancy Lorena game, dude. And so he goes out there and he goes and gets the firewood, and then And then of course Jason, he's the one that has the machete, I think, and that's where Jason gets the machete for the film. Because if it's not a Jason movie if there's no fucking machete. That's number one. And then Judy gets she's in the sleeping bag, dude. And this she's the one that gets slammed against the tree a few times and all that crap.
And that's the thing. They only showed her like she was in the sleeping bag, like you said, and then he just grabs her by the feet, swings her body one time against the tree trunk, and her head hits it, and that's enough to put her out for good.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about this film that's unfortunate is that it would have been like a perfect Friday the 13th film, at least for me. But if you notice, I know you were watching it and shit, like they don't really go too hardcore into the deaths, like nowhere near as hardcore as the previous 6, right? And the MPAA was getting stricter with, with films. They had this as a X rating, and so they had to like, really trim down all the kills and shit. And like if you've seen like the ones, the full versions of them, they're all shitty recordings, but they're like, they show a lot more extra seconds on there. They look great. They look great,
but see, that's the thing. I'm glad you pointed that out, because that was something I was thinking to myself, but I was like, I didn't realize it was because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the killings are not super graphic. Like they show one blow, but then they don't necessarily show like a multitude of blows that would then result in that person dying, but you just infer that they're dead. A lot of the time that's what's happening. I did not know, like you were saying, that was because of the MPAA, and that was a different period for the MPAA in like the late 80s, very early 90s, because that was an MPAA that was very big on regulating violent imagery, whereas by the late 90s they weren't worried about that anymore. They were only worried about the sexuality.
Yeah, they were. I didn't think about it till I was like, man, they don't show like, because after watching a few Friday the 13th, you kind of get used to seeing like these deaths and like spikes coming out of people's bodies, and then I'm watching it like after like the third or fourth death, I started being like, they ain't really. You're just seeing somebody go like, huh, and then you just see like a kind of an action to stab somebody, but then you don't see any blood or anything like that. And then I had snapped because like I said, I'm a horror movie guy. I'm basically familiar with these films. I'm not like a pro unless I have to watch it, but then it all comes back. And then when I saw this one, I was like, oh, this is the one that got really edited down because of all that crap. So this film would have been a lot better had they not done that. But
I agree. I mean, it has a good dark vibe on it to it already, but would have been the icing on the cake, like you said, had they been able to do that. But I think those first three, though, the one from 80, 81, 82, that's that post-Grindhouse era where they were the product of that shit, where
they could show a lot of shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely different, like from the 70s stuff to like right around this era. And even like, if you remember, like Freddy 5 kind of came around this time. And like, we were talking about that one a lot too, how it was like edited a lot, that there were like when that girl's getting fed, Greta, and they cut that down, Dan's motorcycle scene, all those things. So yeah, like they were like really strict around this time for whatever reason, piece of shit. But again, we get our sixth and seventh death. They kind of go back to back. It's Sandra and Russell. They go skinny dipping. We've never seen that in the Friday the 13th film, right?
Exactly.
but he's there getting into the thing. He gets the axe to the face. Sandra is like, looking around for him. She sees his body, and then Jason literally does the Christopher J, dude, literally, and teleports like Jaws into like the fucking lake.
Yes.
And pulls her down, and she drowns, and that's like the basic bitch kind of death. But
when that happened, and she looked good and heard that skinny dipping.
You know what I'm saying?
But the thing is, like the Russell killing was about perfect, is what you'd expect, for a male character, like that. And then, getting her, of course, the hot white girl, skinny dip and all that shit. That's what you'd expect from a movie like this. But the thing is, like you said, when he teleports in the water, it's like, here we are. This is the 7th movie in the series. We still don't know what the nature of his power is. I mean, obviously there's some kind of supernatural component, but what exactly can he do? What's the source of this? He died in 1957 in a drowning, but we find out by part 6, where Freddy got his powers from, the dream people, the spirits, the demonic dream spirits, whatever. Where does Jason get his ability to keep being resurrected? I mean, and keep having, he can teleport, He can just fucking, like, he can get his arm cut off, it'll come back, you know. He can be turned into a feast of worms and then lightning strikes and he can come back to full-on Jason. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's not really said, and I like it that way. It's kind of like a revenant or whatever. Like, they just kind of like this vengeance ghost, whatever you want to call it, you know, where it's just coming back, but it's like actually, it's like, it's not a ghost per se because he's really in reality, but he's just there back for vengeance. And I like that about it. They don't tell why he's getting this power, but we know why he died or how he died or whatever. So, good shit. Tina's mom finds out that Mr. Lomax is kind of exploiting Tina's powers or whatever, and that he brought her there to kind of. Does he say why he's like out there? I know like he knows that she has powers, but. Like, and he does know about Jason because they find out about it later.
They saw his clippings in the drawer.
Yes, yeah, that happens a little bit later, but still, yeah. I mean, that's going to be what she finds out there. What as far as Tina does, but is that what Mr. Lomax is trying to do? Is like trying to get Jason revived, or what the fuck was his whole point? Because I know like he knows that she has these telekinetic powers. Telekinesis powers.
Telekinetic powers, but you raise a good point because that's something I kept asking myself even, at the end of the movie. I'm like, so what exactly was Cruz's motivation? All this, obviously he wasn't Mr. Perfect, perfect heart morale motive, trying to, 100% nothing but help her. I mean, he may have wanted that to some extent or another, but yeah, I mean, you can see from the fact that he knows about this and that he was videotaping and recording all this stuff, like, obviously he had some kind of ulterior motive as well. But what exactly was it? Like, was he trying to manipulate her for profit? Was he trying to manipulate her to get Jason? Maybe a mixture of the two? I mean, what exactly?
I think he may have been trying to document telekinesis powers or something like that. To show or sell or write a book, something. It had to be something like that he was trying to profit off of her powers, whatever the fuck. Anyway, but yeah, then Tina overhears that he's gonna like commit her because the mom found out about it. And like the funniest scene in the film, dude, I don't know if Mark remembers it, but they show it real quick. Like she's like pissed off and she takes off in Mr. Lomax's car, or it might have been her mom's car, and she fucking takes off on it. And like she sees her mom getting stabbed in the middle of the road. It's like a hallucination with Jason. And then she like hits a tree, and then she just runs into the woods, like all like super like Ray Clay looking, dude. Like it's ridiculous. Like it's just like stumbles into the woods. I'm like, what the fuck is this chick doing? Did you see that part, Chris? Or was it memorable to you?
I did. No, it was because like what stuck out to me was just her seeing the middle of the road. It was like Insidious 3 when she sees the old man in the street after the audition, and it reminded me of that. And so she sees her mom getting held by Jason, thinking it's a real image or whatever. And like, yeah, gets sidelined over to the side of the road, crashes, and then she gets out and, like I said, starts running. Eventually, she's gonna run into Nick at a later point, but it's like, yeah, that was very, very memorable. 'Cause there's a killer on the run. Yeah, there's a killer on the run. He's prowling the woods. So Maddie decides that she wants to get some of that David, dude. She wants to get her ass over, and she gets all dolled up and she's looking for him. And she looks like a fucking like a typical funny looking girl, but like she gets a little dolled up, but she still has that like working Velma look, right? And she can't find. Speaking of Velma, like she gets lost because she doesn't have her glasses and shit. And Jason, of course, she runs into Jason. And runs into the barn, and she gets that like scythe to the stomach or whatever, or sickle to the stomach. It's a scythe, yeah. And that old school farmer's scythe. And see, I like that scene because that's a horror movie scene right there. That's two people in a confined space, and there's hallways and little places you can hide and stuff. Yeah. And it's just a cat and mouse game, and then eventually he does get her. But that's a fucking horror scene. It is good. I'm glad you're kind of highlighting it because she like runs underneath to get like underneath a door or whatever to or wall to get to it in the barn, and she's like freaking out. And then Jason just punches out from one side and from the other, and like this film has a lot of inconsistencies because I know with this one, like I had wrote down, like she got sliced to the stomach because that's where he goes for,
and then later on it's like her face or her eyes or her throat or something. I'm like, there was like another death that it's inconsistent. I know a guy who's inconsistent, but yeah, I mean, there's like a few, like, I guess they had done like the deaths, and then they were like, oh, let's do the reshoots or whatever, and like I guess they didn't match up or whatever the case may be. But then we go to the black couple having sex in the van, and it's fucking retarded because one of the black guy, like, I think the van shakes. I forget what it is, but it causes a distraction for him, and he thinks it's one of the dudes.
Yeah. He thought that they were getting knocked on by one of the dudes because remember he's like still Mr. like he's not hearing any of this and he thinks Michael's still alive and just going to be late to the party. But does he
think it's Michael? Is that what it is?
Or what? Not necessarily that it's Michael.
I don't know if it's Michael or David or Eddie, one of those fuckers. I know he's like so and so. Like, oh come on, man. And like I'm like, but he's like laughing about it. I'm like, this dude's banging his chick, right? And he's like laughing. I'll be right back or whatever. And she's like, what are you going? He's like, I'll be right back. I'm like, dude, you're banging your chick or whatever, and you're gonna go fuck around. Like, how strange is this guy relationship? Really, that you're gonna get, go outside mid thrust, dude, and go fucking mess with a buddy, dude. It sounds kind of Karamish, dude.
And goes out there with one of those like party kazoos too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's out there like he's making the noise anyway. Thank God Jason goes there and crushes his head, and that's one of the deaths. Like it shows it, like he's getting crushed, but the actual death, like he smashes his head to like fucking, like a hand, like a fist size. It's like fucked up. I'm like, man, it was crazy, But can you imagine how great this film would be if he had all those deaths? And of course, he grabs that working kazoo or air pump and kills Kate. What's her name?
I think that was her name, Kate. But like he stabs her in the eye with the fucking kazoo, and you just have to you have to just infer that she dies from that. Even though like getting killed in the eye, I mean it sucks because you lose your eye, but like that doesn't necessarily kill you. But you just have to infer that she died. And fucking MPAA, go fuck yourselves because of that.
Yeah, exactly. And we go fast forward to David and Robin post sex, and David's gonna go get something to eat, and Jason butcher knives David and the gut, and then let me see here.
That's when Tina finds the news clippings.
That's when she's finding all that crap out. And Melissa and Eddie are making out. That's right. Melissa and Eddie are making out on the bed, and we see he's like in his underwear, dude. Those tidy whities getting his ass over, and she's like, "Oh, I was just waiting for." His name's Nick. Is it Nick in the film?
Yeah, she admits like, I'm just trying to get over with Nick, but yeah, I'm just making you jealous. Yeah.
Have you ever had that happen to you, Chris?
Not in the fucking bed.
Mark, has a girl ever got with you just to get at somebody else, dude?
Oh, never, dude. Never in my career, dude. Never.
They're like, I was trying to get my husband, boyfriend worked up. None of that?
Nah, never, dude. I don't operate like that anyway, dude. So that's what I do. So, Nick, Mr. Nicholas, dude, is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, because that chick's all like, yeah.
Mr. Nicholas, better known as Nick the Dick, dude.
Chris, hello?
Or Nick the Box.
Oh, Nick the Dick.
But, anyway, so he goes, he's like, oh, I'm going to go have a shower with the soap. I'm going to have a date with the soap on a rope and all kinds of weird. I'm like, what?
And when he said the soap on a rope, or he said it like that Susan Gray woman, I'm going to go have a date with a soap on a rope.
Soap on a rope now. And he's like downstairs. He's reading. He's doing something. And then Jason just shows up from behind him and machetes him in the neck.
He was fucking reading through the birthday cards for Michael.
Yeah, so he does that. He gets the neck, the machete to the neck. Robin goes looking for David, right? And then, like, it was pretty funny when Robin dies because, like, she sees the head of Eddie, I think it is, or it might have been David, but
it was David, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, she freaks out that all of a sudden Jason walks into the room. I started laughing, like, cause it's funny, like. He walks into the room and then he closes the door on his way in. I'm like, Jason's got, good, he's got good manners, dude. Closing the, he's not raising no fucking barn, dude.
Well, Mrs. Voorhees didn't raise him in a pack of wolves,
Yeah, exactly. And then she gets thrown out the window, and it's kind of like, whatever, because she just
That was like a fucking Foley, like 1998 bump, like thrown through the second floor window.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. I was doing the Chris, like, okay, what's your point, And then Tina, like you said, and they had learned about Jason or whatever previously, and so they're like, they kind of split up and all that crap, and Mr. Lomax, and what's her fucking name? Tina's mom.
They just call her Mrs. Shepherd on the.
Yeah,
on the
Mrs. Shepherd. Yeah. So anyway, they kind of like run into Jason. Jason, like fucking asshole, Mr. Lomax, dude. He like uses her as a shield, and he stabs her through the stomach and shit, dude. I mean, when you saw that, were you like, what a fucking dickhead? Because I know I was, dude.
I did think that, and it's just like they're already suspecting you of ulterior motives. Now you're on the woods, and oh my God. I won't get into it. I'll let you keep narrating, but I just yeah.
No, go ahead. What do you got to say about that? You got something to say about that, Nancy?
Then Mrs. fucking Shepherd gets killed, of course, and then
with the spear.
Yeah, with the spear, and then fucking Tina runs into him in almost that same spot, and that's where Mom is, and he lies and says, "Oh, she's inside the house." And what the fuck are you lying for about that? Like, this is someone's mom that just died, and it's not even that he lied, because if he was a good person, he would have lied because he was trying to keep her calm and keep her well. It's a fucked up situation, but that's not him. Like, we already know he's got ulterior motives for all of this. So
yeah.
It's like,
yeah, no, I agree. And then Mr. Cruz is out there, or Dr. Cruz, Mr. Lomax. And then, whoa, look who won the pony. Fucking Jason shows up with like a 80s weed whacker, dude, the one with the real blade, And yeah, I saw that, and I was like, it's about fucking time. I was popping for this shit. And Jason, ends up giving him the weed whacker to the stomach, dude. And I was just finally happy, dude. I was just like, thank God this piece of shit's out the film, dude.
That's about probably the one. I agree with you. That's about probably the one time I've ever been happy when Jason whacked somebody.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty sad. I think that's where Jason made his like face turn, dude, when he killed Mr. Lomax. But that's when it's kind of weird because she knows who Jason is. Do they actually show pictures of Jason with a hockey mask on those little clippings or anything, or does she just like? Is it just like assumed and known that Jason's the motherfucker killing people with the hockey mask?
I don't recall pictures of him in those newspaper clippings. I just remember them saying either Camp Crystal Lake or Jason.
Or Nancy. But she's like, this is like, I think the movie was, like, I love the movie because it was like ridiculous. Like, part 6 was ridiculous, but this one is like, they have to throw in like that extra seasoning, dude. So all of a sudden, we get Jason. I didn't mention it. This was supposed to be Jason versus Freddy Krueger, this film, dude, but they couldn't come to like an agreement, Paramount and New Line. So this is the reason why we get this fucking over the top ridiculous film. It was supposed to be that, So they
and I'm glad you said that because I just want to point something out here. This film, I thought, had kind of, and I was thinking this while I was watching it. It had kind of that New Line cinema darkness to it.
Well, New Line didn't direct it, but I guess
they tried.
Yeah, they tried to, or direct it. They tried to produce it or whatever. I guess they were trying to get that same feel.
Yes.
They did Jason versus Carrie. Dude. So you know who Carrie is or no? She's got like telekinesis powers as well, dude.
I know Carrie.
It's a Stephen King film, dude. We're gonna do it eventually.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's a Paramount film.
Mark's selling for me, dude.
It's a Gulf Western Paramount film, yes, but it's like it had that New Line feel.
But anyway,
I was saying I know Carrie, dude. That's what I was saying.
Oh, yeah, I bet you do.
Inside joke. Anyway, Mark, you gonna let him Anyway, before we get too off topic,
I said very inside, meaning that like it's between really between us, like no one else is.
Oh, that like I thought I was getting that he was really inside a girl named Carrie.
Oh, no, not that.
Who knows?
Fucking Chris, he gets a pop and then he takes it back. That's not what I meant. But anyway, so she runs into Jason. She starts using weeds to like grab Jason and pull him into the mud, all Evil Dead style. And then they go back and they go into like the house. She goes into the cabin where Nick and Melissa are at, the white girl. And then she's all being bitch mode, right? And then Jason kills Melissa with like this number 16 death, the most over death in the film, dude. Where like he gives her like a fucking axe to the head and then grabs her and throws her like from one side of the room to the other, and she like flies over the TV. And she does like the perfect cell, dude. I was laughing. I was like, all right, so that's how we're doing things now.
And that was another face turn scene for Jason right there when he got Melissa.
Yeah, it's like when Jason starts killing assholes, dude. I think everyone could get behind him. That's like that's a killer I could get behind, dude. Right, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I guess it's a guy with hockey mask that just gets him over. But yeah, they go upstairs. Jason runs up there and he ends up falling through the stairs because of her powers, and she's like a light bulb to hit him in the head, and then like he goes through the bottom of the stairs. Nick gets knocked out. All hell breaks loose. It's like one of those fucking ECW matches from this point on. She like ends up she ends up using her powers. She's using her powers throughout all this. Ends up choking him, hanging him. He falls through the floor. He ends up grabbing her from the floor from that point. She throws nails at him like on his face. Oh no, before that, she like uses her powers to like make his fucking head almost implode. And like the mask breaks off him, and you see like his fucking head oozing like cheese and shit. Like it's fucking disgusting. They go down there. Go ahead, dude.
Before he gets to the basement, like that fucking light fixture hanging from a cord explodes, and then she makes that cord come down and lynch him.
Yeah, like to hang him, dude. She hangs his ass. Yeah, and then they fucking go. He falls down into that basement. The nails get thrown. He gets set on fire, and the actor, Kane Hodder, he actually got like burnt from this because it was like a 40-second gimmick of burning himself and shit on actual, the actual time. Burned his neck and chest, some shit like that. Ooh. Yeah, and but when you saw Jason's Part 7 face, dude, I mean, is that motherfucker ugly or what, dude? He looks like Ray, but I think Jason has a better hairline.
I've seen worse looking guys than that. I mean, that dude they showed on like some Learning Channel documentary, he had like that huge like 3 foot long hanging tumor from his face, and his wife's like this hot ass piece of ass and shit.
What about Ray's hairline and Jason's hairline? Because who's got a better one?
Better hairline. Better hairline between Ray and Jason. Hi, I'm here. I'm analyzing here.
Who's darker, dude? Jason in this film or Ray, dude?
Oh, Jason.
I don't know, dude.
That's a different fucking face like I've seen. That's not the Jason 3. That's not the Friday the 13th 3 Jason face.
Who's got better clothes, dude? Jason or Ray?
Oh, Jason, dude. If you can look good in a fucking worker's outfit like that, dude. I wouldn't because I'm a fat fuck. But I mean, if you have like a good, you're fairly tall, fairly proportioned well, and it's form fitting, that's what Jason's got.
You hear that, Ray? You hear that, dude? So after all that crap, Jason's on fire. They go chase. He comes back, dude. He's all pissed. He's really pissed off, dude. He's really pissed off. They go to the.
Well, fuck, who wouldn't be? He's been lynched. He's been put through stairs, put through basement, nails thrown at him, lit on fire. I mean, this is like fucking Terry Funkin' Foley in '97, dude. What the fuck?
Out there in the dock, dude, and then Jason's there, like he's giving that Karen face, like, like he's really pissed off, dude. He looks pissed. I mean, he's pissed because the way he looks, but then he's like really pissed because after all the crap he's been through, he's got the roof fall on him, fire, nails, Nancy canceled on him, dude. I mean, that motherfucker's been through it all, dude. So
fucking electric cable wires at the very beginning.
Yeah, he got shocked. Yeah, exactly. He got fucking electrocuted or whatever the fuck. And then what kills him, dude? What actually ends Jason in this one?
I popped for this one, dude. I about came in my pants, dude. When her telekinetic powers are just going up full bore on that fucking dock, and her fucking dead dad comes out from the water and fucking grabs.
You like that ending?
I did. I kind of popped for that. You know, it's kind of like, and here's why.
I hated that ending. It was like the worst ending of all of them.
And here's the thing. I'm a logical guy, and I always criticize things when they're not logical. But like having empathy for her.
Did you just say you're a logical guy?
No, I mean I like movies and storylines to have logic to them, but I mean knowing what she went through and knowing what happened at the beginning and everything, and like how she didn't really mean to actually kill her dad. She was saying something in an extreme fit of anger after seeing him hit her mom, and whatever, you know. And so that caused, and so she lived with that remorse her whole life. And so then to see her powers bring him back to put down an evil force like Jason, I mean, I kind of popped for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Exactly. Mark basically summed up that ending really, really well. So
electricity, electrocution, fucking strangulation, fucking nails, fucking being burnt to a crystal gas. None of that could kill him, but her dead dad bringing him into the water killed him.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Then
Well,
you're like,
hold on.
I pop for it.
You know why Chris popped? You know why he loved that ending, right?
Because the dad came to the rescue, dude.
Duh.
They get the
Went
wallet.
to
The
that
wallet.
out and
He
over.
threw his wallet at Jason.
I remember Dad came and saved the day again.
Oh my god.
Okay. That's how we did
No,
it.
she should have said to him, "Hey, Dad, while you're back from the grave, can you take me to go get a car?"
No, it's like after it was all over, the dad came out of the lake and he's like, "Hey, let's go to Jim's." And they're, all right, yeah, that's what you want. I mean, you picked it.
No, we'll take you to the car lot first, then we'll go to Jim's afterwards.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, exactly, dude. That's a sumbitch that's over though, dude. And then when their dad does all that for them, they're like, "No, I have to have a 2-bedroom because where's my dad gonna stay? I have to spend the extra $200. So, you know, don't be giving me any shit." Anyway, that was the worst fucking ending I've ever seen and I like part 2, but part 2 sucks. So they hit Jason in like the shoulder, you know, trap area with the gimmick, and like that's it. And then part 3 was they hit him in the head with an axe, which I thought was kind of dumb. Part 4, they really beat the shit out of him. They like the real Tommy Jarvis, you know, Corey Feldman, you know, puts it to him. 5 was Jason. Yeah, 6 was a great ending, but then this one, I was like, the dad comes out of the fucking lake like he's Godzilla. He's like, like doing the ultimate, not even the Ultimate Warrior, like the Renegade Cell, dude. I'm like, oh my god, this fucking, yeah, it was like horrible, right? It's like he's like trying to get us pumped up, and we're like, oh, it's Renegade, dude. Never mind, you know, it's Renegade, you know. Yeah, I was like, oh my crap, Chris, I popped for it. I'm like, oh no. And I'm thinking when I'm watching it, because like I forgot about this film except for like it's, you know, the telekinesis part, and I'm waiting for Jason to pop up again because he's always popping up, right? He just doesn't die from the first or second, third hit. But I'm like, really? I was like, that's it? Like the dad's wallet's that powerful, huh? You know, I was just like, all right. So that was Friday the 13th 7, The New Blood. Chris, I mean, give us your rating, your overall thoughts on it, dude.
Oh yeah, this one's definitely a solid 8.0. I'm gonna say that I like the movie overall. It truly went back to the roots, but in a late 80s context. So it was late 80s feel, but it also had the dynamics of part 1, 2, and 3. So which was already before also, so that was great. You know, it was a true horror film, true scary movie, the correct elements that you're supposed to have for a horror scary film. So I liked it even more than part 6, and part 6 wasn't bad. Are we going overall ratings for the films now, or just this movie?
Are we what?
Are we going overall ratings for all the films now, or just this one movie?
Oh yeah, if you want to give it to, that's up to you. If you want to do it, that's fine.
Last thing, I had looked up, because as you know, I bought the remake of Friday the 13th a couple days ago, and I just heard on the beginning of it just because I wanted to kind of get the feel, just kind of be reminded of what happened, because it's been 11 years, and I saw that one was New Line Cinema. I was like, ooh, nah, that's why I liked it so much. This one, like we were saying earlier, it was Paramount, it was Gulf Western, but it had a New Line darkness feel to it that I like about New Line movies. Any New Line movie, whether it's fucking Menace to Society, whether it's fucking National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon, whether it's the Freddy Nightmare on Elm Street movies. New Line makes good shit, and this had that New Line feel, even though it wasn't New Line.
Were you gonna give your rankings?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. 213, 4765.
All right, Chris. Well, you're wrong again. I'll do that mark. So number one, it's got to be 6 for me. So I got 6, then 6, then 3, then fucking 2, then 4, then 7, then 5, then 1. So, well, you know what? Never mind. Scratch that. 7, 3. I'm sorry, 6. I'm over here throwing every number I know and shit. So number 1 is part 6, then number 3, then number 7, dude. I think it's probably my third favorite. Then I'll go with part 2, and then I'll go with part 4, and then 5 and 1. This one's fun. It has a lot of fucked up problems, but I have fun with it. Like, it's not like the other ones where I'm bored or some of the other ones there I'm a little bit more bored. This one, it's ridiculous. It has a lot of problems. The deaths aren't the way they're supposed to be filmed, but it's fun. It's a fun film, especially the ending. The ending, the ending with the working Carrie with Tina, but the whole ending with the dad, stupid, but all the fighting things. That was the payoff, dude. That was that ladder match payoff. But anyway, Mark, final thoughts on the New Blood, dude.
Final thoughts. Cracked. I know it's cracked. So I'm gonna go in order of my ranking. So number 7, I'm gonna put it in 9th place. 1 through 6 is gonna be in 10th place. And the only reason I'm going number 7 in 9th place is because that's the one that I want to go see at the drive-thru with my family. It was a family night. We went to go see that, dude.
So
I was telling you the fucking the part that we're giving about was when that girl gets slammed into the tree in the
the
sleeping bag, dude.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, we were just giving about it, sitting in the back of the truck. Dude, that girl gets slammed against the car. But other than that, the movie's crap, dude. I don't know why y'all are excited about this, but who knows?
It's definitely an action-packed Friday the 13th film. The other ones had the stalker-ish 70s vibe, and these are just like, it takes the gloves off, dude. It sets the ring on fire, gets the barbed wire out, dude. It's just something, over the top and ridiculous. So,
can I say something, Joe, in that vein you were mentioning earlier about it's a fun movie? Mm-hmm. It is a fun movie, and this is a movie that and like we always talk about, Bloodsport's a fun movie because you can just put it on any point in the movie and just get into it, and it doesn't matter, whatever. Yep. Same thing with fucking
the past two, right?
Beverly Hills Cop. You can do the same thing. Back to you don't even care where it is. You're just glad to be watching it. It doesn't matter where you start. But this is one where, if we're talking about not the movie itself, but the series, if you're talking about the whole series, you do not have to have seen 1 through 6 in order to watch this and be entertained by it.
Yeah, even this one, you don't need to know any backstory. It just, they're resurrecting some bad guy, and that's really it. You're there's a reason why Tommy Jarvis is afraid of this guy because he's telling us that, but it's you don't need to watch the other ones beforehand. It's just okay, I'm having fun. The other ones, you probably would be a little confused, on if you watch part 5, you're like, why is this guy to be, pretending to be Jason Voorhees? Who's Jason Voorhees? 4, the same thing. 3, the same thing. 2 is one you can kind of be thrown in because they kind of explain it. But I don't think you would have fun when you watch part 2 or 3 because they're not really fun movies. They're kind of serious, more serious tone. But these 6 and 7, they're just, it's a good match. You don't need to watch the whole pay-per-view. You don't have to be a wrestling fan to like these. You can just be a movie fan. You don't have to be a horror movie fan. But yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, 7's a blast, and anyone can sit down anytime and just get right into it, jump right in. But yeah, no, I'm glad we're doing this series, and we got part 8, Manhattan to go.
Yeah, we should be the next ones left on this franchise as Jason Takes Manhattan, And then we have Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, and then the last one will be the Friday the 13th. Was it 2009 remake?
2009 remake.
But it'll be a remake, so we have, 8? Yeah, we have 4 more films left, dude. So, get your big boy, Pampers on, dude. Pulleys or pull-ups, whatever they're called.
My pull-ups trainers, yeah.
Anyway, so hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll go ahead and see you on the next one.
Peace.